until it just gives you the green light that everything's uploaded. But yeah, I was about to say good morning, but it's obviously evening time over in the Gold Coast.
And yes, have we
Yeah.
started? Is this the
Yeah.
the beginning of the
Yeah,
podcast?
this is the
Are we
beginning.
away?
Like one of the things. So I'm doing like an intro before this podcast. So I kind of
Yeah,
like where podcasts just come in and you're just sort of chatting, and
brilliant.
you don't have to do that awkward like, oh, welcome to the show. It's to do something like Steve Wright in the
I like it.
afternoon where we
It's
have to give
natural.
you yeah,
We're just
exactly, yeah,
chatting.
yeah. We're just chatting,
Brilliant.
just two guys in two different time zones, just chatting
The
away.
other side of the world. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's 8 p.m. here. It's been a
8
long
p.m.
old day. Me and the
Yeah,
kids went to a farm for the weekend to have a little bit of a
yeah,
break. My wife is very into like experiences as Christmas presents. She doesn't like the stuff. She
yeah,
likes going away or doing
yeah.
some kind of experience. She doesn't like jewelry or anything silly like that. So I treated her, splashed out to a trip to a farm. What a guy, eh?
Wow.
We stayed in a log cabin over the weekend,
Amazing.
and the kids mucked around feeding animals, hanging out with little baby chicks, even some llamas. And they had
Lovely.
this sort of retro water slide there. So it was quite an intense weekend of campfires and marshmallows. It was really cool. But
Yeah.
we're exhausted today, and this is my first full day back in the office.
But
So yeah,
you're
I'm tired.
yeah, your kids are back to school or are in started school, yeah?
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
they are.
yeah.
So my youngest son is 4. He just started last week in what they call prep, which I guess is like reception
Yeah, yeah.
in UK terms. And so yeah, he had like a 4-day week last week. Started off on the Tuesday because it was a bank holiday here on the Monday, and he's loving it. He's absolutely flying. I think his sister, because his sister goes to the same school. She's 2 years
Mhm.
older. She's 6.
Yeah, yeah.
He's seen the routine. He knows how it works. He was excited about his uniform. So yeah, it's been amazing. In fact, it's brilliant because he's no longer in daycare,
Yeah.
and I'm saving thousands every month from these
Y
horrendous daycare bills. So
yeah.
I'm flying high right now, mate. I'm on top of the world. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I remember when my kids kind of both first made it into school, I felt as though like, "Oh, level 1 complete." Like, we're
Yeah,
kind of into
what's
level
next?
2. Like, it was just like, yeah, um because one they get out of the house for most of the week, and also
Hmm.
as you said, you stop paying those insane nursery bills, so like you suddenly have like a little bit more disposable income. So yeah,
That's
it's
it.
really nice when they both and like that as well, they start developing really well. I remember my kids, like their language and speech and all that. I remember they were just coming back and having full blown conversations as soon as they start school, and they're
Yeah,
there with their peers and their teacher. You just
yeah.
notice their development just comes on leaps and bounds.
Yeah, you think you're doing well as a parent. Like I've been trying to like teach my son to read and like
Mhm.
doing really well. And in his first week, he's already just like, look how much better I am, Daddy. And it's like, wow, these guys know
Yeah.
what they're doing. So yeah, it feels good. It feels good. It's nice. The only issue is that they finish at 3, and
Mm.
daycare used to finish at 5, so we get an extra couple of hours of
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
cover
yeah.
there. So
Mhm.
things are going a little bit crazier, a little bit earlier each day in our house, but it's fine.
Yeah.
I'll take that any day over paying thousands of dollars in bloody childcare.
Yeah, but so how does that? I'm always fascinated because you seem like such a busy guy from my perspective of things, and how that works with your flow of work. And because you're running the designers community now, powered by Adobe Express, are we contractually
Nice
obliged to?
plug, Pierce. For
I-
anybody who's listening, Pierce is a founding member of my community. We're very lucky to have him,
yeah,
and a staunch member of the community. He contributes a lot, and yeah, it is. It's been running since, is it August now, something like that was when we
yeah, yeah,
started it.
yeah.
And yeah, it's been great, man. I've been really enjoying it. It's so nice to have some people to
Hmm.
talk to on a
Hmm.
daily basis. I don't know about you, but being a designer can be quite lonely. This is unfortunate. I just make people pay to come talk to me. This is like a secondary business for me now. But I
Yeah.
have like I did this because I'm lonely as a designer. I like I like collaborating with other designers. I don't get to do that enough. And when I get to share my work and other people share their work with me, and sort of we get a chance to review it before it goes out to clients, it's really powerful. Like I send work to clients sometimes and it'll go through swathes of rounds of amends, only to go out into the real world and realize that we've all missed something glaringly obvious, and the public spots it, and then that's really embarrassing. So
Yeah.
having a community like designers there, just to share work with and just bounce ideas off, just kind of protect you a little bit in that sense. Just
Hmm.
like having some eyes on it, and people that I kind of trust that won't share it with the rest of the world before a client has seen it. That's really powerful in this, and I'm really enjoying it. I don't know about how you're feeling about everything, but I'm loving the way things are going right now. It's great fun.
Yeah, no, it's been fantastic from my end, and I think like the reel that kind of sold it for me, or why I really wanted to investigate, is where you were talking to your wife and you were talking about authority bias, and I was
Yeah.
like, I hard relate to that because my wife just gets constantly her WhatsApp. I just keep chucking her things into WhatsApp. I do
Yeah.
appreciate my wife because she's like she's a healthcare practitioner, so she doesn't have this sort of like, she does have a nice kind of like non-designery view on things, and I
Yeah.
appreciate her. I generally appreciate her taste in things, so there is a nice kind of value in what she or her view on things. But then I felt as though like, God, I'm just I don't. She's my only sounding board, and when you were speaking about having this kind of closed forum of other
Mhm.
designers to kind of just chuck things up in their like really raw state, and that's one of the things I really love about it. Is like you do see people who are like, "Oh, I'm struggling to kind of get this to work," or
Yeah.
it's the really like no judgment, or there's nobody's there trying to posture with your sort of really shiny finish thing. We're just chucking
That's
up
it.
kind of like screenshots of artboards and kind of going like,
Yeah.
"Help!
That's it.
How do
We
I
have the
how do
rule
I
there,
console?"
which is
Yeah,
don't be a dick, just be nice. It's that easy. Like it's just
I mean,
constructive feedback, and
I,
the authority bias is a thing. When my wife gives me feedback on our work, and I love feedback from my wife because it's like from a complete like non-designer point of view, like you were saying. But at the same time, when she critiques it, part of me goes, "You're not a designer, you don't know," and like I'm really defensive of it because she's not a designer. So when other designers critique my work, I feel like it's coming from a better place, and I
mhm.
can take it weirdly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
like when other designers look at the work, I feel like I can actually take that on board.
Mhm.
Because every time my wife says something about my work, I'm just like, you don't know why I did that. I'm trying to explain it to you. She's like, well, I'm just looking at it from the general public. I'm like, yeah, okay. I
Yeah,
should be
yeah, yeah.
listening, but it's
Mhm.
a lot easier to take when it's people in your industry giving you feedback. And this is what this has been all about. Like we have a section in there called design reviews where people can share work and not be judged for it. This is a safe space to share work before the client sees it.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that we're checking for glaring errors, and people post websites on there, and they're like, "Can you just check the spelling of this, or check that the buttons work and things like that?" I love it. I think it's a great forum for that kind.
Yeah, I did. I recently, where it was quite quiet at the start of the year, so and I was changing the studio name, so I put up my new website, and it was fantastic because it is that way of like you get many eyes on it to click buttons and check
Mhm.
like on various screens and laptops. So it was a great way of feedback, and I picked up so many kind of little errors and things. I'd be kind of going insane on my own trying to like pick up all those little bits and bobs of like the
Yeah.
portfolio, but the community really helped in that respect.
It's been great,
And
hasn't it? And how's your
yeah,
website going? Wiselove.studio.
y
It was
yeah,
cool when we saw that come up. It's brilliant. Like there's a lot of this community is like I'm a and visual identity designer, but there's lots of like other fields out there, and there seems to be quite a lot of web designers within the community. How's the
yeah.
feedback been on the website so far?
Yeah, well, it's just trying to get eyeballs onto it, and I think one of the ideas was starting this kind of podcast in terms of it's one of those things that I've always wanted to do and sort of branch out beyond sort of just the client work as you kind of do in terms of like doing design education and getting more into podcasting and talking about design and that aspect. So that's one of the branches I want to open it up. So we'll have
Nice
like
one.
a podcast section in there. So yeah, no, it's been really well received, and I'm kind of happy that I think I've just one more case study to do
Hmm.
because like that work section was severely lacking for about a year. So I've kind of got some like I'm kind of happy that if you want to see, if somebody asks me what do, you could just send them this link, and it shows
Yeah,
like 5 really like weighty projects for like really good
something to be
clients.
proud of.
Yeah, exactly. And I've got case studies then for each, so that if you want to actually really dig deep and see my process, then you can click away. So I'm really happy that I've kind of put in the hours and got that kind of looking well, because that's the real kind of like when you're trying to attract clients or like answer that question of what do you do, then that section is all fully functioning, and that's like, finally I could just,
Yeah,
now that that's there, I could just like every 6 months I can garden it and just take off maybe one project and put up a more recent one. So like
nice one.
that was a big weight off my shoulders. Yeah. So
It's hard, isn't it?
yeah,
Trying to do your own portfolio. I'm going to be in the stages of doing it in the next few weeks, and I'm dreading it. But
yeah.
yeah, there's an argument there, isn't there, about like how many bits and pieces you should put on your portfolio. And I used to have
Mm,
like 20 or 30 because it's logo design. It's quite a bite-sized thing. You can put up quite a lot of work in one space. But having a case study for all of them, it's kind of overwhelming for anybody new coming onto the site. You do want to just be showing the work that you're the most proud of and the
yeah.
work that you want to be receiving more of. You know, you want to be putting out work that you want to of the kind of caliber and the kind of clients that you want to attract. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's kind of, you have to be a bit ruthless with your old work. You know, even though you're proud of some stuff, does it make sense for you from a business perspective, and do you need to cull it? It's really tricky.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I vouch for, quality over quantity every time, you know? It's,
Hmm.
I often kind of, too much work is overwhelming, and then, so it's, just about paring it down to, like, 5 or 6 that you're really most proud of, and try to get
Yeah,
those.
nice.
That's the tactic, or that's what I kind of advise to people. Um,
Hmm. Agreed.
but yeah, so how was, Adobe Max? You were out there recently?
It was great. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the highlight of my year, honestly. Like, I don't know about you, but I get very I work in my own in a small office all the time,
Yeah.
all day long. I go
Mhm.
to the gym in the morning and have a bit of human connection with. I actually get to meet other people and say hello face to face. I come home and I'm at work all day long, and then the kids come home from school and we'll have dinner together. Obviously, great being a freelancer that I'm always there for every dinner and get to put them to bed. But then I'm back to work again in the evening, and then that's it in terms of like human interaction for the whole week. So when I get to go to places like Adobe Max, it's like it's amazing. I
Yeah.
love those kind of networking events. It's like the highlight of my year. Not only like it's cool because I was a speaker this year and a couple of years prior, but just being within a room with that many people who are in the same boat as you is so much fun. And everybody you speak to is in the same boat as you. Everyone you interact with has had the same kind of problems, and we're all kind of just there to learn and see these amazing speakers, but at the same time have fun, have a bit of connection, and have a bit of interactivity. So I'm addicted to it now. I just love going out to as many networking events as I can. There's not that many in where I live on the Gold Coast, but you know, whatever I can find, I'm out there now.
Yeah, it's really good. As I find it really important as well. There's a few design talks and events. There's quite a big conference there um in Glasgow in November, and I went down, and yeah, I keep meeting like, these people that you regularly meet at these design conferences, and we keep talking about it's like our works night out, it's
Yeah,
sort of like,
the office
even
Christmas party, isn't
party,
it?
exactly, yeah. You just kind of like these people that you're probably like, do you only see them online, or you're following, mutually appreciating on social media type of thing, and then you actually go and hang out with them in real life. It's great. It just feels, yeah, really invigorating. So did your talk go down well? I watched the video of it, turning likes into leads, and
Yeah.
they talk about, it was fascinating because you talk about like, how your very first video went viral, and sort of, yeah, how that kind of converted your
A new
inquiries
life.
shot up. Yeah, new
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, it was cool. I did two talks while I was there, twice each. So they really put me to work this year. I had to do loads.
Wow.
So that one talk was called "Turning Likes into Leads: How to Sort of Navigate Social Media as a Designer and Bring
Mhm.
in Business to your operation, or whatever that may be, using social media as a tool for that." So just basically everything that I've learned over the last 4 years of trying to make this work. It was a lot of fun, and I think people got a lot out of it. And then I did another talk on how to go faster in Adobe Illustrator. Completely different, just really tech focused, really demo based. Got up on stage and basically just tinkered around with Illustrator. And both
Yeah.
of those talks were an hour. But that's hard to kind of
Yeah, yeah,
entertain
yeah,
people
yeah.
for a full hour. There's a lot of prep that goes into it, and I'm not a naturally gifted public speaker, as you can probably tell from podcasts
Yeah,
like this. I
yeah.
stumble over my words if I don't have a scripted speech to look at. It's difficult for me, so I have to really, really practice. So one of them was very scripted and had slides in a presentation. But the one I was most nervous about was the demo one, where I had to run through a series of things in Illustrator, and so much can go wrong. There's all this hardware that I had up on stage, all this kind of like software. My Mac was started slowing down towards the end of the presentation. I think the
Oh,
Mac needed a
Jesus,
new
yeah.
one. So it's so stressful. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
brilliant. It went down really good. And they give you some everybody that goes to one of the sessions at Adobe Max fills out a survey at the end of the talk. And I got some really, really great feedback on this one. It went
Fab, man.
so
Yeah.
well. I was one of the top rated speakers this year, which is it's
Fab.
just such a cool achievement. And the guys at Adobe, they look really closely at things like that. So if you ever want to like be a speaker there, just be like really professional and don't take it for granted if you ever get the chance to do it, because it's, if you show up and put the work in, they'll keep bringing you back. And that was my third year in a row now, and I've already been invited to year 4, and it's February of the year, and it's not until like October, November, so that's a good sign, right?
Yeah, no, that's great, man. I do like your presentation style because, like, I've been to lots of design talks, and I do like, as I was saying, like, there's some people, as I think last time we were speaking about, people who just kind of like show off their shiny portfolio for like half an hour or whatever. But I think what you do is like, it's a great mix of, one, you're kind of getting loads of tips and practice and advice. You're also being honest about who you are, and just like opening up a little bit personally as well. Plus, as well as that, you're showing off great work. So it's those 3 avenues that, like, I think those 2-3 ingredients make a really good talk and a really good presentation. And I think you got the balance of those going on great. Plus, you
Thanks,
get to embarrass Alan Peters as well, in front of a room full of people. I
Yeah,
really
that was
like
a
that
cool
for you.
moment. That was a cool
Yeah,
moment. So
yeah.
for your listeners, I had a section of the speech of the illustrator talk that was like a volunteer section, and the plan was to pull someone up from the audience. And the second time I ran it, Alan Peters was in the audience, so I thought, who better to bring up on stage and do an illustrator race with. You have to perform a series of tasks, do it as fast as possible, and I'll try and do it faster. And I thought, most famous logo designer in the room, illustrator veteran, brought him up on stage and gave him like 4 things to do in a kind of sequential list of instructions. And it took him like a minute 40, something like that. He got a bit flustered, and there was lots of people watching, and I put him completely on the spot. And then I went and did it, and pressed the little button on my macro pad and did it in 2 seconds. So yeah, I
Slightly cheated.
Forgive me.
Yeah. But while I'm in are you aware of the euphemism to blow smoke up your arse, James?
Of course, blow away.
So I am going to, maybe not blow smoke up your arse, but maybe light a scented candle and waft it across your nether regions, maybe. So I wanted to talk and just discuss a few of the projects that are up on your site, and just kind of get a bit of a dig into these ones. So top 3, Billy Bear's Nursery. An excellent, and like, from my point of view, one of those gorgeous, like, negative uses of negative space in a logo design. So you want to tell me about this one, based in Solihull?
So is this top 3? Is this your top 3 of my portfolio? Or is this
my top 3? Well, I necessarily three of the best. I would think. I just and not necessarily top 3 in terms of ranking, but I wanted to show 3 different
I do
industries.
like this one. I do like this logo. The issue I have with this one is that they never really used it. The business, it's for it's so one of those really annoying ones. They have a daycare center, a nursery, and they had a pretty bad Ofsted report, and they went under new management, and they were basically trying to rebrand themselves, along with the fact that new management were coming in and shaking things up, changing how things were done. So the aim of the game was to basically change the face of the business, to stop associating them with the bad review that they'd had. And the guy came to me. He was very, very. I could tell that this project was a bit of a stretch for them financially. Like, between us, it's not the cheapest to work with me. I've been doing this a very long time. I charge a certain amount, and I could tell it was a bit of a stretch for them. So I wanted to kind of go a bit above and beyond for this. When people stretch a little bit to work with me, and I can tell that it's been a bit of a pinch and he's had to claw
Yeah.
a bit to get these funds together. I want to do a good job. And I was just kind of lucky that all the stars aligned on this one, and it really, really worked out well. It was a tricky brief because it had to keep its name, Billy Bears. It had to have a bear in the logo, really. I mean,
Yeah.
they were open to changing it, but it kind of made sense to keep it in, when it's that kind of ingrained in the name. And then the building blocks idea that went with it. This was like the formation or the foundation of like bringing children up. It was about the sort of the core education behind working with kids, and the building blocks not only represents that, but also it's something that you associate with childcare and play and fun.
Hmm.
And when I put these three sort of arched pieces together, and it formed the shape of a bear. It was kind of like, wow, how has nobody kind of done this before? It just worked so beautifully. The trick with this design was to balance it so
Hmm.
that the bottom of the bear and the bottom of the bear's head was kind of wide enough to resemble the bear, and the two ears were in place. And if you look closely in the design, the the yellow brick kind of sits on top of the purple brick a little bit, so they're not kind of
Yeah.
joined. They're
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
sitting on top of each other. And
Hmm.
so to offset that balance, I shifted the nose over to the left a little bit to kind of weight the whole thing the right way. And so it was a lot of tinkering. It looks simple and it looks elegant and it's definitely unique, but it really really took a lot of finesse to kind of balance that together and make it work. And then
Yeah.
obviously it's a great design on a black background, but when
Uh-huh.
it comes to like using it on a white background, unfortunately, I couldn't come up with a better way to make this work other than to stick a sort of a square around the design and keep it in a kind of like app icon format to
Yeah.
keep the
Yeah.
design dark, so that it
Uh-huh.
always meant that the white section of the nose came through and that was always light. So
Yeah. Of
yeah,
course.
it was a great design for like we originally had it on blue, and I can't remember why they made me change it to black. I think it was to do with the YMCA colors that they were partnering with,
Hmm.
which was their parent company. So I had to bring the colors kind of in line with their parent company. But yeah, that design just kind of all fell into place. I was really, really pleased with this one. And then we just paired up a typeface with it that was big and bold, and then I
Yeah.
just added a little jaunty angle onto all of the characters just to
Oh,
give it a little bit of personality.
I'm a fan of a jaunty angle, and it's actually something now that you say it about that brick slightly stacked, and it's something that yeah, it just gives a slightly organic feel to that a child actually kind of built that, and that's a lovely touch. That's something I hadn't noticed before, but it's probably working on my subconscious about how much that fits together, you know.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, it's excellent. It's one of those where like sometimes I see a logo design and I kind of go, well, it couldn't be anything else, could it? You know, because
yeah,
it's got like
right.
so many things kind of going on there, and it's one of those. Um, Similarly, I'll show you. This is one of those logos that, again, once you kind of see it and what it is, I kind of go, well, it couldn't actually be anything else except this. So that's one of the. I love seeing a logo like that where you're like, well, there's no other options that will actually fit because this is the one, you know. So
Yeah,
Metalama,
yeah. Well, it's interesting you should say that. Like hindsight is 2020, isn't it? Like
yeah,
when you see the end result, of course, that's how you'd solve that problem. But getting there
yeah.
is so difficult. Like
So yeah,
coming up with something that represents it in its simplest fashion is it's really hard to get to. Like it takes effort to look effortless, right? You've got to really put the work in, and I've just
yeah.
got enough experience to kind of be able to spot patterns. And this is how the Metal Armor one came about. Is that while I was just sketching away, the idea came ridiculously quickly. The coding language uses the C# coding language, which is the hash symbol, and the llama element of that is kind of just neatly buried within that hash symbol. It was when I was looking at the llama, and at first I drew the hash like very, very vertically. And it was when I sort of angled the hash to the right a little bit and just lent it back, it really made that iconized llama that's hiding in the middle there stand out and look really recognizable. And the trick with this one was to make the one color variation work. So we had a really beautiful full color variation where the shadow um, of the design is kind of like is what separates the llama from the hashtag. but in one color, we needed one that works on white, and so I had to make some cuts into the design to kind of separate the llama from the hash symbol. Um, and it was kind of I was struggling to make them all kind of uniform because of angle of the angle of the llama, the way it's kind of leaning back. I wanted to make it like it was there was a light source to the top left of the design, which was casting a shadow down to the bottom right. But if you did that on the left hand side, if you go back to the main logo itself, the very left of the logo, you've got the first portion of the llama's leg at the front of the body,
Mhm.
and that can't be a shadow because if the light source was on the left, it would be casting a shadow behind it, but then there would be no separation there. So I had to kind of just go, okay, do you know what? I'm just gonna have to cut it here and make the angle sliced. Design a logo with a llama.
Did your voice come through?
Sick of my own voice.
Yeah,
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 it was a
yeah,
tricky
yeah.
one. But the concept was really simple, and I knew when I found the llama icon in the hash symbol, I was like, right, this is definitely the way to go. Now it's about executing on that, and that took longer than I thought. It was actually, it took a bit of balance to get that. The type and the color scheme was kind of already pre-baked in because it was a parent company. Sorry, the Metalama is like a sister company of the parent company Post Shop, and they already had a color scheme and a typeface that I kind of had to stick to. So it was trying to make the icon itself fall in line with that in terms of style
Yeah,
and
yeah.
an execution there. But yeah, it was tricky. It took a while, but that one,
Yeah.
we already got it right, and I've won. That one's won
Yeah,
a
yeah, I
load
can
of
see
awards.
a list of
Yeah,
awards here, man. Yeah, it's great.
I
Yeah,
submitted it to quite a few. I was proud of that one, and I
yeah.
submitted it to one award, and it won instantly. And I was like, right, well, there's a
Wow.
few design awards out there that freelancers can enter, and I just
Yeah.
went crazy with it, and I put it into loads, and it won like 6 awards. It was
Yeah,
brilliant.
this is the horse you're backing in these races, yeah, or the llama
Hmm.
that you're backing in these
That's
races.
right.
But yeah, no, absolutely, it's fascinating to hear you talk about that because it's like something when you see the final thing that I'm sure you probably agonized over those little angles and nicks and trying to
Yeah,
get that balance right until you could both have that strong kind of hashtag, but also the llama kind of does stand out a bit, and it's
yeah,
you're getting to that point of I really love when you're kind of in that. It's frustrating, but I also do like that point of logo design where you're just trying to get that point where like any little bit more is too much and any bit less is
yeah.
too little,
Fine
and
tuning it.
you just get to that lovely point.
There's
But
a
yeah,
really
beautiful
great
logo, man.
book by George Bockelware, the Principles of Logo Design, and in there he talks
Yeah,
about gridding, and lots of designers leave that until the very last step. So they might get the concept or the design signed off with the client, and then right at the end, they'll go in and line things up and make sure that all the angles are perfect and that
yeah,
the type is lining up perfectly. And it's something that you should really do at the end because it's so much work. Like when you're just about to export these files, double check everything, draw grids over everything, and make sure all the type is lined up neatly. And it takes a bit of work, but yeah, it's definitely worth it in the end. It's super satisfying.
yeah. No, actually, I have that book on my shelf actually,
Mm.
and yeah, no, absolutely, I do have that. Where I started kind of when I'm developing a logo, it's just very rough, and I'm taking like kind of chunks off it, and I'm kind of just seeing if the thing works, and then I'll
Hmm.
sometimes it is an important point to get back and then get very like, for want of a better expression, anal about it.
Yeah,
um, because in that process of just hacking things off, I'll totally miss that there'll be like too many anchor points on one bit, or like, and it happened to me. I think I learned a sharp lesson. I used to work in a science center, and we made this logo for an exhibition, and they were just about to send it like to the logo to like for the massive signage kind of thing, and it was only like the line of the bottom part, it totally looks straight to any kind of naked eye. It looks straight, but the bottom part it was about 3-4 degrees slightly off. Just whatever way I kind of built it, I slightly kind of hacked the line off. And they were saying like if they did, it would be, but it was a massive sign for this. Like they were getting it cut out into blocks and putting it up on the side. And
would have been really noticeable.
really noticeable, you would just have this wonky line of the like one of the blocks in this thing. So that's always stuck with me. Is just like, even though it looks straight, just get in, get the guides, put in that
Yeah.
preview mode where you're just looking at the lines and just yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
we've all
Um,
seen what happened with the HBO logo, haven't we? And how
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
logo that's been out digitized for years and years has a mistake in it, and these things happen. And
Yeah, yeah,
it's, bigger companies. It happens to huge companies as well. It's such
yeah,
a sometimes you can be so close to a design with your eyes right up against the screen, like picking away at little pixels and moving things, connecting path points. And sometimes it's hard to just kind of take a step back and have a little look and see what's not lining up. And this is what's great about our community, is that we have this now. We have this, sense check of our designs. People can,
yeah.
just guys, just have a quick look at this for me. Just make sure there's nothing wrong.
Yeah. That's
And we get, we get
designers
checked
with
real
three
quickly.
R's.com,
There we
powered
go.
by Adobe
There's the plug.
Express. Thank you. It was
Thanks very
15
much.
minutes since we last mentioned it. I need to get like
Wicked.
a buzzer,
Every
kind of
15
like.
minutes. We've got to get
Yeah,
it in
that's
there.
my producers reminded me. Plug
as per our contract.
plug the website. Plug the website.
That's right.
So Archon Studio, you did a really lovely reel on the making of this, and it's like a really lovely execution of the logo, but it's also a fascinating company to be working with as well.
Yeah, they're like a how do you put it, like
RPG,
kind of like a plastics factory. Yeah, but they make board games. They make like the models that you produce in board games like the He-Man series, Masters of the Universe, and they come from these plastic sprues, and then you take them home and you paint them, and it's this whole industry. They're massive. They had a logo that they were been working with for a long time, but it kind of wasn't very versatile. They also, this is the most stressful part about this job, they also have a team of internal designers, like 3D artists and graphic, seriously good designers, had all had a crack at making this logo. So I was bloody nervous, right? I'm like, no matter what I send, they're all going to be like bitter about the fact that none of their logos were chosen. And so I was kind of stressed out about this one. And so, it was a bit of a tricky brief. So I went away and basically learned about how their company works and how the plastic sprues are formed, and watched this amazing YouTube video. I think I linked it in my portfolio, but it's basically, you have two molds that are pressed together. Plastic is forced into the mold, and it makes like this popping sound as like mini explosions go through, and then it's kind of released and it drops into a vat and goes back again. And it's the two plates coming together that kind of form the idea for this logo. And I wanted like it to go, when you're chatting with a client, you're coming up with ideas for the design, and we came up with a load of different brand nouns, one of which was like mold, one of which was dice. There was a few others in there, like hexagon, like the playing space on a board, which is a sort of common playing space. We actually ended up crowbarring all of them into this design. So we've got hexagon, dice, and the injection molds as well. And we came up with this design that's kind of like angled isometrically on the sign, where the two molds pressed together would be, the outside of it kind of forms like this D6, a six-sided die, and the dot on the front of the design is where the plastic would be injected into the mold, and also represents a die. So it was a really cool design, and kind of like a clever idea, but it took a lot of execution to kind of to pull off. We did quite a few variations of this, all based around this concept, where we first left like the kind of stick entering the front of the mold, and made a negative space version of it. And it looked at one point, it was like I'd stripped it back too far. Like it was so abstract that it was kind of not recognizable anymore. But then we added a couple of borders to work in one color, and then we've got a kind of color variation that works as well. But yeah, the guys were really, really chuffed with this one, and I was as well. Like it was a nerve-wracking job, because they're a big company, and this is going on the side of their vans and on the side of their factory and all sorts. And Masters of the Universe is like in these circles, it's a big deal, right? They have the IP to He-Man. That's nothing to be sniffed at. And so my logo is going on all of these boxes, and all of the people that represent these games at like conventions and stuff will be wearing it on their t-shirts. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was a full-on job. It was a tricky one.
No, yeah, it's excellent. I love that, dealing with the in-house designers. Yeah, sometimes when I'm brought in for a job and they're like, "Oh, our designer will send you over the files." I'm like, "Uh-oh. It's like it's sort of like dealing with, oh, my ex-boyfriend is calling around for dinner. So there's that sort of like, oh, you're better than me, are you? There's a weird sort of similar ex-boyfriend energy kind of going on.
Yeah,
but
weird dynamic.
we are dynamic. We're like we're always going to like not like what the other designer is doing. But yeah, no, that I think you've done a really good reel on this on your Instagram, and it shows the old logo and how you've developed this across. But yeah, and how many kind of boxes this logo actually ticked in terms of representing the company. It's
Yeah.
fabulous. Um,
Thanks, man.
s- so are you ready to face the bingo wheel of wisdom?
What?
Yeah.
What is this? This is like a board game section of the podcast.
Speaking of amazing board games, so there's this local shop, hardware shop, and it kind of sells everything. There's your first ball. Oh, it's meant to light up, but I have to turn it really fast. No expense spared here on the WiseNoise
Wow,
podcast.
the budget blowing me
So
away.
basically, I've got loads of quick fire questions, and the balls are going to dictate. So I'm as excited as you are, Jay.
Let's
I
go.
don't know what's coming next. It's crazy for me. So probably quite related to 25 is favorite 80s cartoon. Might be swayed by just seeing
Ah,
He-Man there.
easy. Well, He-Man was a great one, but for me, it
Yeah, yeah.
was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I was
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah,
obsessed with it.
yeah.
Absolutely
Amazing.
obsessed with it. I'm actually trying to get my kids into the original lately, the old 3x4 oriented version that you can find on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
brilliant. And
Oh, or
obviously, the actor that played Philip Banks in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, he was the voice of Shredder. I
right.
love hearing his
Yeah, was
voice
that
every
him?
time that comes back on
Wow.
again. Yeah,
I
it's
never made
such
that
a great.
connection. That's two amazing 80s, 90s
Yeah.
cartoons that was part of.
Me and my kids actually watched the movie versions of it, the first ones, the 1990 odd variation of it, and
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
so good that the memories that brings back, it's just wicked. I love them.
Yeah, I remember queues to my local cinema to go see that. It was like the biggest film of the year. Um, or Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, as it was called in the
Yeah,
UK,
which one was it? We
because
got Hero, didn't we, in the UK?
yeah,
We didn't get
because they were
Ninja.
like ninja meant killer or something like that. So
That's
like the
right.
poor the
It's too
Beeb
dark.
wasn't happy. 59 favorite holiday destination.
Oh, good one. All right. One of my best holidays ever was Japan. Went
No way.
to Tokyo and then went down on the bullet train and did Mount Fuji, and then we even did Kyoto, and then we went to Hiroshima, which I absolutely recommend if you ever want to go. It sounds like it's a bit of a contentious place, and obviously deep awful history. But what a town! It was so much fun. There was like a real kind of hippie vibe there. Obviously, like an anti-nuclear bomb vibe, and it was so cool. I had the best time ever. Japan is just a fantastic country. If you can afford to go,
Yeah.
it's very expensive.
Oh no, absolutely. That's one on my to-do list, and I quite like that because I do like when you kind of get away from the main city that everybody talks about, and goes to a place that's you'll totally find a completely different pace of life down there and everything. 27. What's the most you spent on a design book?
Oh, what's the logo modernism book? I
Okay.
can't hear a word you say when you rattle that thing.
Sorry. Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to let
Make sure
me get the numbers out quickly,
get
and
your
then
balls out.
get my balls out, and
Get
then
all your
you
balls
can.
out. Put them in a row, and then we'll do the question.
Yeah, yeah, because
Most expensive design book. It was, I think it was Logo Modernism, that
right.
massive
Okay.
tomb of a book. It's like, this tall, it's like the height of my torso.
Wow.
It was a good like $80, I think it was,
Yeah,
80
yeah,
pounds.
yeah.
Um, and then I moved to Australia and couldn't bring it with me because it was too heavy, so I had to sell it.
Jesus.
So I've been gutted about that. I haven't bought it. I haven't rebought it because of
Yeah,
it's
I
so
think I know
expensive.
the. I think that I know the tome you're on about. There's a few.
Yeah, it's huge. It's like a big red and white book, and it's just full of like black and white logo design. Like it's an inspiration book.
Yeah,
It's enormous. It's like honestly, it's like that big. It's huge.
yeah, yeah.
Very expensive.
There's a sort of there's that NASA design manual thing where it's the original kind of NASA logo
Yeah.
design things, but that's like close to 100 quid, and I'm like, there's no way I can. If I buy it, I have to kind of get it delivered straight to the studio because if it comes to the house, I think I'll be in trouble in
What?
terms of like.
How much?
How much? Yeah. So what number are we on? 20. Who's right, the grid or your eyeballs?
Your eyeballs are. Okay,
Yeah.
there's a lot of this, and I love this about our industry, especially like logo design specifically and type design, about how there is no substitute sometimes for just eyeballing it.
Yeah.
You've got any kind of optical illusion in design. People will love it when things fall into the grid. Obviously, it makes things very simple. It makes things very executable as a designer, and people love being able to put like formulas like the golden ratio into your design, and it just like fixes everything. But the truth is, it doesn't. You have to use your eyes as a designer in order to overcome the optical illusions that we face as graphic designers. So there's like overshoot in typography when you have to make your circles a little bit wider than your squares. So your O's have to push past their X height in order to look the same visually next to something of a similar height. Or you have things like the Poggendorf illusion. So when you have an X and the two characters intersect, if one's thicker than the other, then the lighter one needs to be up slightly. Otherwise, sorry, it needs to come out at a different angle underneath. Otherwise, the Poggendorf illusion gets in the way and it looks like it's got a kink in it. All sorts of stuff. The bone effect in logo design, when you go from a straight edge into a curve, and it kind of, you always get a kink at the point where the curve starts. So in rounded rectangles, you always have this kind of concave effect because of that. And there's no way to fix it other than just to use your eye to kind of force it into submission and to balance it. And it's annoying because you want to be like, I want to be doing this by the book and I want the maths to work. But at the end of the day, what you do is going to be subjective, and that kind of can be a little bit crucifying for people, thinking like, I've followed all the rules. Does this work? But at the end of the day, you have to use your eyeball. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I,
a long-winded answer, wasn't it?
yeah, I
Use
don't
your eye.
think you've yeah, I think you missed the sort of quick fire element of this feature. No,
Sorry,
no,
dude.
but
Am I supposed
I
to leave
kind
it one-word answers?
no, no, it's fine. I just let it. There's no definitive end to this kind of thing. I just think
All
it's
right.
once we kind of get a little bit exhausted. But I knew as soon as I asked that, I thought there's a whole chapter from like one of your talks coming.
Yeah, I thought about
Because
doing a course around the optical illusions within logo design and typography. It's so interesting to me. There's so many optical illusions that we designers face. I thought that let's do a course about how to master them all and to beat them into submission so that we can make
Mhm.
balanced and beautiful logos. It's quite a niche though. I'm not sure there's much of a market for something like that, but
Yeah.
maybe I'll do a talk on it one year.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's one of those things that if you start pointing out things like the eyeball, I'm with you. The eyeball is king. The grid is obviously important, but
Mhm.
ultimately, it's like it's everybody uses their eyeballs, so that's ultimately the king. And
Right.
I think it's one of those things when you start one of those annoying designer husband things where I start pointing out to my wife about, well, actually, if you look at the Google logo, the portions of
Yeah.
the colors aren't all distributed the same. If you measure them out, they're all different portions. And it's not
They love
because
that,
that
don't they? The wives
they
get
love that.
mansplained too. Yeah,
Yeah,
it goes
yeah.
down a treat.
Well, actually, yeah, yeah. If
Design-splained.
yeah, it just like, oh, where she gives me this look like, she gives me this look where I know she's thinking about her ex-boyfriends that's now an eye surgeon, and she's just kind of going,
Yeah.
maybe I made a massive mistake.
What could have
Maybe
been?
what could have been the regret in my life. So yeah, I've had the number 9. Can you name all the members of One Direction?
Ah, no. All right, Harry Styles.
Yeah, Harry's making a
Um,
comeback. Harry, I don't
I
even know them.
can't.
There's Zayn. There's the Irish
Bobby,
guy.
Matt,
Yeah, there's Niall
Dave, and Fred. No, I got
and
no idea. Harry
and
Styles.
Helvetica. Well, that's the designer brain. Oh well, you failed at that bit. Okay, we're back on
Yeah,
more
very much.
familiar ground. 43, the most underrated design skill.
Good question. All right, a bit of a long-winded answer, but being able to defend your own work, like
Okay.
when you do something and you present it to a client, you've got to be able to defend what you've just done. Otherwise, if a client says to you, "Why'd you do that?" and you can't explain it, then you have immediately lost them. So this is something that my former creative director used to drill into us when we were working. Like, every time you put something or you add something to a design, think about how you would explain that to a client if they asked you about it. It just makes you bulletproof when it comes to presenting your work to clients. If you could defend everything you've done and there's a reason behind it, and when they ask you, you can explain away those decisions, then the confidence clients will have in you is just like tenfold. If they ask you, why have you chosen that color, and you say something like, "Oh, I don't know, I thought it looked pretty," then it's you just open yourself up to every single critique and subjective change to the design, and it'll be an absolute nightmare from there on. So yeah, be prepared to defend your own work. That would be a skill that I
Excellent,
would
excellent.
advise.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Making designs is one thing, but selling the designs is another skill. And
Presenting.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Rationalizing, having when you're going into a meeting like that, be like, okay, well,
Yeah.
rationalize everything. Have an answer for like every choice that you've
That's
made,
it.
and yeah, as you
It
said.
also makes you a better designer because it stops you adding unnecessary elements, especially
Mhm,
with like layout and like typography and like magazine design, which I used to do back in the day. The more you add, the more cluttered it looks. And as you sort of stripping stuff back, your designs become cleaner and less cluttered. And we used to have that in our teams. We found that our work was actually better because we made like serious choices about what we'd done, because we knew later on we would have to defend it to our boss.
mhm,
And if we
exactly.
couldn't do it, then we just had to take it away.
66. Comic Sans Ariel Papyrus. Snog, marry, avoid.
Bloody hell. All right, I'd marry Ariel. I'd
Yeah.
give old Papyrus a snog, and I would avoid Comic Sans like the plague. I think Papyrus has its, you can use it in certain elements. I think you can get away with it in
Yeah,
small
yeah. Health and beauty
circumstances.
spas and
That's right.
blockbuster films
Yeah,
about
but
aliens.
Ariel will always be there for you. No, it's got your back.
Yeah, yeah. I could trust Ariel. She won't go off with any other fonts behind my back. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, one last question. Where do people want to sign up for designers?
Oh, look at how that
Uh,
worked out. Was that on
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah,
list?
yeah. No, it wasn't on my
Amazing.
list. I'm just sneaking it in. My producers reminded me again. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'll plug.
Yeah,
I'll plug. I'll plug the
you
website.
checked your contract. You checked your list. All right, designers.com. That's designers with three R's, designers.com. Now, we've got a good deal going at the minute, haven't we, Pearse? We've got, if you
Yeah,
sign up to the designers community on a yearly subscription, you get a free year of Adobe CC Pro. So that's Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, all of those packages. So if you were gonna sign up to CC Pro for a year, if you're that kind of person, just sign up to the designers community
cheaper.
instead, because it's cheaper, and
Hmm.
you'll get the Adobe subscription too, and you get to
Uh,
make friends,
yeah,
and come out and share your work. And we have guest speakers come on almost every week, and we have weekly live calls, and we have design review sections, and we have competition prizes and all sorts of stuff. So
yeah.
yeah, designers with 3rs.com. Thank you for the plug.
And you'll get access to this kind of frothy banter every week.
That's right.
Well,
That's
that's
right.
the word. That's worth
Lucky
the
you.
entry fee alone, no?
Definitely, definitely.
Um,
Look,
okay.
joking aside, a weekly call with you guys is one of the highlights of my week. It's just such a nice way for us all to catch up, and everyone is so supportive in there, aren't they? Like,
Mhm.
anytime somebody shares something, there's loads of feedback, and like, obviously, I'm in Australia. The time zones is crazy. There are people from all over the world in the community, and I will wake up in the morning, and I'll see, all sorts of people have already responded to the sort of design review sections or anything that anybody posts in there. And also, I've got all my old courses in there. So, turbocharge your logo designs. There's a Photoshop course about how to do better mockups. I've got like some of my more recent stuff, that likes to leads presentation we just talked about. That's in there. So yeah, there's all sorts of goodies and resources.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
designers
No,
powered
I
by
was.
Adobe Express.
Yeah, well done. The last guest I had on, Chris, we were talking about the fact that we're both kind of members of like smaller, kind of close knit communities like
Mm.
that, and I think that's like a lot of in this with the way social media is going with like under attack of, well, it was a minefield before, but now you kind of have like AI sloth invading, and it's becoming even more kind of
Mm.
like noisy. So in terms of that way of getting to know, network with other designers, these kind of smaller communities. I know there's another one here in the UK with the Creative Boom magazine. They've kind of splintered
Yeah.
off and have a similar ones. And there's one, I'm part of like a smaller Slack channel with like Scottish freelancers. And I
Mhm.
find myself kind of spending more time on those than kind of like, instead of like posting my work. I'll still post my work at the socials,
Yeah.
but I definitely get more. It's kind of you'll get less likes, but again, that quality over quantity thing in
Yeah.
terms of like you
Absolutely.
actually have people who you're building up bonds and building up kind of a rapport with.
Definitely.
And the other aspect of that community as well is that there's a really healthy jobs board as well
Yeah, I
that
was just about to say that. Like
gets
we're creating a
posted
bit of
up.
a network of other people that can help each other out in
Yeah.
areas where we're not so strong, and like especially like
Hmm.
me with web design, and there's a few people in there who are also really good at branding. And anytime I can't take on a project, I will put the job on the board there with permission from the client, of course, and
Hmm.
people can go back and there's been some great bits of work. Like we had Arena, one of our members, do a job for a friend of mine, and I couldn't take it on. I've got too much on my plate right now. And she took it on. She did a fantastic job. And then I
Brilliant.
met the guy the other week, and we had a chat about it. He's over the moon, and
Amazing.
that's all come from the community. It's just such a special thing.
Yeah,
I really love it.
yeah, it's mutually beneficial in terms of like that. I look out for freelancers to help me out as well on kind of jobs, and sometimes when it gets a bit busy. So I do think having that kind of network, when you see people and you see their portfolio, and you really trust it, they're really trustable contacts to kind of like that. You don't want to pass that work on to a designer that you don't know, and they'll do a terrible job, and that guy is
Yeah,
like, why did you recommend this person?
yeah,
So, yeah, absolutely. It's a stronger way of actually getting work than just chucking something into the void of
that's
uh,
it.
social media and praying, giving a
Yeah,
hail mary to Instagram or something like that. Yeah. So I am just going to open up the heavy dessert menu. Um, have you had a look at the heavy dessert menu?
I have. So I get to
Uh,
pick an item from the dessert menu and choose a topic to talk about. Is that how it works?
That's how it works, yeah. Oh, why can't I find the, window? Have I closed it?
Would you like me
No,
to
it's
share
there.
my screen? Because
No,
I've
it's
got it
cool.
open here.
Uh, yeah, so the heavy dessert menu. So a selection of how to price your work, the AI elephant in the room, the red flags of a nightmare client, specialist versus generalist, self-promotion without the ick, avoiding burnout, your design and how to sell it, or things they never tell you about in design courses. What are you picking from the menu, James?
I could do 10 minutes on every single one of these topics. I'm going to
Yeah, yeah.
choose, I think I'm going to choose self promotion without the ick. Okay.
Okay, yeah,
So
groovy.
people really sometimes are averse to, selling themselves online, especially when it's out there in the world. I've built a business around self-promoting myself and showing off online, but yeah, there is a way to do it, right? There's the, everyone, "Oh, look at me, I've got a new logo project out." And I used to do this all the time, where you like share a new project and you share a few mock-ups of a logo design case study, post it out into the world and go, new logo project, klaxon, and expect everyone to like clap and cheer and root for you and like your post into oblivion. And it never happens until, like, if you can frame your case studies online and you're promoting your business as part of a story, then this works so much better. So every time I have like a case study that I want to share with the world, I don't just go, "Everybody, look how good I am and look how great I am." I'm doing it in a bit of a roundabout way. Yes, that's the message I want to send out to the world, and I want people to hire me through this content. But no one will give a shit if they don't get any value from the content that I'm posting. And so by treating case studies as like a teachable moment, or showing that you're kind of solving a problem for the client, aka telling a story, they do so much better. So whenever I do a case study, I'll talk about the problems that that client had, and what they were kind of trying to do with their new rebrand. And I'll also talk about the points in the project where I failed. And this is like sort of video content for social media. I'll be trying my best to tell the story and to show the rounds of amends that we did and the different versions that I submitted, and then eventually how we got to the final sort of resting place for this logo. And you would believe the amount of leads that I get through from that kind of content, because designers are learning from it, because they're learning about your process and they're learning about how you want to do things. But any clients watching, and they are watching, they will see you as the expert in the industry, or the one teaching other designers how to do this, and then they'll just come to you next time they want to work with you. So it's honestly, it's about, if you can tell a good story, and there's ways to do it. Like I've got this really great kind of format for a video from a content creator called B Chew, and there's kind of like 5 things, right? So online especially, there's the hook. So the first 3 seconds of a case study video, you need to kind of like get them in, like saying something like, I completely messed up this logo design, or something that's a bit shocking, or stop them from scrolling. And then there's the act 1, which is the setup. So explaining about what's going on here, who's this client, and why do they need your help. Act 2 is the conflict. So how something might have gone wrong, or what's the problem. We've hit a bit of tension in this story. The client didn't like my first round of amends. They didn't like my second round. What did I do to overcome this? Act 3 is the resolution to that. So here's how I solved that problem. Everybody relax. This story is going to have a happy ending. And then the final bit on social media, or online anyway, is the call to action. So go to my website to see more images from this project, and while you're there, you can then book me. So before I'll put up a case study video, I'll have everything on my website ready with different images from what I've just shown on social media. And then that way it kind of gives them a reason to go off to my website and learn a bit more. So it's kind of fulfilling that call to action. So yeah, like you can self promote and be kind of braggadocious. Is that? It's not. You can
It
brag
is a word.
about what you're doing, and
Flex.
but
You
if you
can
could,
flex.
yeah. But if you tell a story, the viewer gets something out of it as well, and you're providing a bit of value rather than just showing off. So yeah, that's definitely worked for me. Anyway, I work really hard on my case study videos. A lot of thought goes into them. I could send people off to my portfolio and talk about like how I present projects on my portfolio, like what was the brief, how did I solve that brief, and what were the specific services that I provided. But when you can wrap it up into a story like a couple of minutes long, and talk them through the process, and really tell them about who that client was and why they were struggling and why they came to you in the first place, and how you solved it with this absolute banger logo, then you're onto a complete winner. So yeah, it's worth putting the effort in. It is hard. I'm not going to lie. Like telling a story with video content requires good timing and a good script. But yeah, when
Yeah.
you can pull it off, you wouldn't believe the amount of leads that you can get through. Like my most viral case study ever hit 1 million views, and you wouldn't believe the number of leads that I got. It sorted me out for months. It was fantastic.
Amazing. Yeah. So, going back as well, you mentioned that you're not the most comfortable on stage. So, putting yourself on camera for the first time to kind of promote, like, obviously, do how did you kind of work through that slight nervousness or that slight lack of confidence? Because it does seem now that you obviously have your own voice, you have your own kind of style, and your own tone. So, did it take
Mhm.
you a while to work through that? Were you kind of posting regularly, or did it kind of speed up the more confident you got at it?
Well, yeah, there's definitely like practice makes you better, but for me, I still have to write a script, and that would be my number one piece of advice: is write a script. That you can't be expected to record yourself on video and not stumble over your words, say and ah all the time, or make a mess of it. You write a script, and I just read one line at a time to the camera. If I get it wrong, I just repeat the line. And then in my editing software, I just cut all those clips together, and I overlay footage over the top to try and hide the cut from time to time. So yeah, the thing that I've gotten better at is the editing, is making them really kind of choppy and succinct and to the point. I feel like I've always been a reasonably good writer, and I write in a style that's kind of very colloquial. I can write like I'm talking. So when you read a blog post for me or something, it sounds like I'm saying it. So that really helps when it comes to writing a script. So yeah, you just have to try and get that story arc within that script and then keep it under like a minute and a half or under 2 minutes, and it'll be nice and punchy, and you're not going to like bore people to tears. I mean, like I've done videos that are like 3 or 4 minutes plus, and if you're good at telling a story, you can really keep people there. But that's hard. I think you're
Mhm.
going to have a lot more success if you try and keep those stories short. But yeah, definitely tell a story, keep people there. People won't stay until the end unless there's some kind of payoff for them or they're going to get something out of it.
Yeah, and do think what I like is the honesty in your videos, and as you said there, you're not afraid to kind of talk about like projects taking a bit of a bad turn and how
Yeah,
you solve those, and be open about like, well, this thing went a bit tits up, but here, here's what I
yeah,
learned. Here's what I learned from it, and I do think that's really relatable. It's really lovely to hear as a designer, because sometimes you have a look at like somebody's like really shiny portfolio and you kind of get into this mindset like, oh god, they're acing it
they're
every time,
perfect. Yeah,
and I keep messing up, and I kind of like, I always have challenging clients and etc etc. But
yeah,
when you kind of get that honesty, I think designers respond to kind of like, ah, well, it makes it far more relatable, and it's like really nice to hear that like every designer has the same challenges, no matter how
yeah,
big your social media following is or whatever. It's this,
definitely.
we're all kind of facing those challenges. So to relate to other kind of designers, it's just important to be honest about those mistakes.
Yeah, for sure. I'm reading a book right now about it's by TED Talks. It's about the art of public speaking and trying to get a little bit better, reading books about this topic. But one of the things they recommend, and this is something I was already doing, is a good bit of self-deprecation. There's nothing more kind of like disarming than taking the piss out of yourself online. Make sure that people don't take you too seriously. And it kind of softens people's like view of you a little bit. Like if you've just got, if you put yourself out there that you are perfect and you're clean cut and there's nothing wrong with any of the work that you're doing, it kind of can rub people up the wrong way and make people kind of put up walls. But the second you take the piss out yourself and, to be honest with me, act a bit goofy and do stupid stuff,
Hmm.
the actual more receptive people tend to be. But that does come with confidence. You have to have a level of confidence to do that. And I'm just lucky that I'm at a point in my life where I've started to give less and less of a shit about what people think about me the older I've gotten. So
Hmm.
I'm not about trying to look too cool. I'm trying to like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
show that people get this wrong. It's not easy. But this is why I charge what I do, right? Look at how tough this process is and how much we actually have to go through, and this is why you should spend a little bit more on a logo
Yeah,
instead of
amazing.
all this content.
Yeah, that's fabulous. I do, you just kind of blitz through these things. So guests kind of come on and they're like, "Oh, I don't know what to say." And they start kind of like, we have more of a chat, but like, yeah, that was absolutely like a greased eel there, James. Back,
Thanks.
yeah, just loads of pointers to take from that chat. It's been excellent. But yeah, we're gone past the hour, and as I said, it's late in the evening for you, so I won't keep you on too much. And I'll see you in the designers community pretty soon.
Thanks, mate, and thank you for having me. This is awesome. So you're officially the first podcast of the designers community, aren't you? You'll have to post
Yeah.
this up when it goes live. Can't wait.
Well, I do
Thanks
have
very much, Pierce.
yeah, no worries, man. Take care. I do have Peter coming along, the our Dutch friend.
Yes.
So yeah,
Nice.
I'm
Excellent web
looking forward
designer.
to, yeah, I'm looking forward to chatting him. He's coming up soon. So yeah, another one
So
from the
cool.
community. Okay, cheers,
Love
mate.
it. Thank you very much, Pierce.